G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with round 2 of the FIA Manufacturers Series for this exhibition series that's happening for 2021 to 2022. Now, round 2, I really need to recover from last time, because if you remember last time we had an absolutely shocking, a truly tumultuous outing in the new BMW Z4. But luckily for us, BMW has only one Group 4 car, and it happens to be a very good Group 4 car, the Group 4 BMW M4. So that's what we've got underneath us. Very solid car, so I've got no excuses in the vehicle department. And in wake of the absolutely horrid round 1 that we had, I put in a load of practice for this one. Traditionally, probably a round I would have skipped Suzuka. I don't really enjoy it that much. But I put in a load of practice because I was like, no, I really have to recover last round. Luckily, only half of your rounds count, or 4 out of the 10, or 5 out of the 10, something like that. So we can afford to drop a couple of rounds. But first off, we have to get the qualifying right, and that is really something I really nailed down on. And let's see if we manage to actually do a little bit better than we normally do in qualifying. Turn 1, 2 is really the main place where you can bin it, but luckily for us on this lap we get through there okay. Really, I just didn't have the confidence to smash it in there like I could in time trial, because I knew that if I wrecked the qualifying, my entire race was going to go down the toilet. We got through turn 1 and turn 2 okay. We're just going to fast forward through this lap. We must remember now as well, the tyre wear along with the fuel is now off. So we can just go hammer and tong out of the pits, just do as many laps as we possibly can, as many laps as we can start within the time limit, which is still 5 minutes, but because the tyre wears off, we get a couple of chances now, so I'm not so upset about the 5-minute quali session. Current fastest lap there, 05.9. We're going to head up towards the line. An 05.8 provisional pole position, but we're going to go for another lap, and I'm going to take you through a track guide of Suzuka while we go at it. So coming into turn 1, looking on the left-hand side, turning in just on the 50 and braking just after you turn in. Try and get the car stopped so you don't end up washing wide. We don't get the best of runs through turn 2, especially running a little bit deep into turn 1. Turning into turn 3 now, just lift off the throttle, dabber brakes for turn 4. You can do a downshift to third if you really like. Lift off for turn 5, get 2 wheels up on the curb and flat back on the throttle, then turn 6, little bit of brake, downshift to third to keep it nice and tight to open up Dunlop curve, this turn 7 here, little bit of a lift on the way through, you don't want to wash wide, you can do it flat if you get it dead right, but we just didn't have the line dead perfect and it wasn't worth the risk. Degna 1, right hand side or left hand side, just on the 50, brake turn in and braking just before the end of the curb on the left as well for Degna 2. A little bit wide, it's really helpful to get 2 wheels up on top of the curb there, and we've recovered about a tenth that we lost in sector 1. Braking just on the end of the curb on the right for the hairpin. The braking zone is slightly curved in the early part of it, so just be really careful with the rear end in there, and you can just smash the throttle down in this M4 absolutely beautifully. Heading through turn 12 now, which is this long right-hander called 200R. The next corner is Spoon, another pinch point where it's really easy to crash, braking just before or just on the little access path on the right-hand side of the track, and then braking just on the end of the barrier on the right. Come in for the late apex of turn 14, the second part of Spoon, and we're going to head down the back stretch towards the ever fearsome 130R, one of Suzuka's most famous corners. I don't think we quite have the slipstream off the Nissan up ahead, so it's all good. Looking on the right hand side, up on the barrier, just pretty much on the 50, lift off, turn in, cut a lot of it, and trying to keep an apex speed of 224, braking just before the 100 metre board coming into the Casio triangle. We run maybe slightly deep, braking maybe 1 metre too late, but we get through there okay, just cutting the chicane like we can get away with, and then keep it nice and tight through the final turn. Across the line, it's another 205.8, nevertheless a slight improvement. But we just get pipped for pole position at the end. Oh, damn it! Half a tenth. Oh man, that's pain. Oh well, it's all good, we're in a good position. So I just shared my opinion there in the live chat after almost getting a pole position, and we really had the pace to get there too. My lap wasn't perfect, and in fact I was achieving mid-5s in practice, so a couple of tenths off where I would normally like. But let's get into the race, but not before the Manufacturers Series introduction. And for the longest time, we finally get to see my car on the opening screen in all its glory with the R4M livery on this BMW M4. I'm probably going to change the livery for the next time we see this car out on circuit, but it was really good to get the R4M livery near the front. Right, so this race is a marathon, this one. It really is. 18 laps of Suzuka, sort of late 2-minute lap times, sort of 2:07, 2:08, 2:09, 2:10 sort of lap time. It's a long race. It's about 40 minutes, and it's a one-stop race, so we're spending a lot of time on the tyres. But before we get into the intricacies of the strategy, let's just follow the start of the race. We've got to make sure we get through turn 1 okay. The SLS up ahead getting a little bit wide. Pretty sure it had its left rear tyre out onto that slippery AstroTurf, but it just about recovered and manages to stay in the lead. Now, in this opening part of the race, you can see coming through the S's, I'm catching up to the back of this Mercedes, and he runs a little bit wide off turn 5, and he gets a poor line through turn 6, so I catch up even more time now. We're only about 2/10 behind him. So right here where I had to lift, I'm beginning to lose time behind this Mercedes SLS. Now, I kind of understand the position that Mercedes may be in, struggling at the very start with the cooled-off tyres from the start sequence. And I know the feeling can be really, really frustrating when you're just sitting in the lead or sitting ahead of someone. You're like, I know I have the pace to be here, but I just can't quite get a handle of the car at the early stage of the race. He gets a poor exit out of Degner 2. It's difficult to send it up the inside of the hairpin. He gets a load of oversteer, so almost having a bit of a look in there, and that was a very hairy moment for the SLS just there. But it's very difficult because you've got the right-hand kink of turn 10, which means to send it up the inside of the hairpin, you've got to hang it round the outside at turn 10. Very difficult to do. We're going to have the slipstream of the Mercedes SLS coming into Spoon now. I think he's broken slightly too late there, using his qualifying braking point. And now he's just getting in front of me. He gets a poor exit off Spoon. I almost launch into the gap, but I just have to come out of the throttle not to edge him off the track here. We're going to have the slipstream heading up the back stretch. So you can see definitely the Mercedes SLS off the start of the race definitely is on the back foot here. I look up the inside here, but I don't quite get far enough alongside to actually try to go for it, so I do have to back out of that one. Just stick in the slipstream. It probably would have been the smarter idea to stay behind him and go for the move at the chicane here, but we got rid of that as soon as we decided to go for the move at 130R. But we are going to have the slipstream coming down to one of the most difficult parts of the track now, turn 1. So we have very, very close slipstream here, less than 2/10, less than 1/10 as we pull out to the inside. The BMW M4 has decent speed on it, and we're going to go for this move down at turn 1, braking down the inside. There's slight side-to-side contact, and the SLS gets edged off the road. Oh no, I was really... Oh no. Did I leave enough room? Damn it, why did that have to happen? So that was the question that was on the tip of my tongue. Did I leave enough room, or was I alongside enough to actually go for it? I felt like I was, and I had full intention of leaving space. I don't know, it's just one of those ones, isn't it? I didn't mean to do it, and I felt awful because I was just thinking, I'm just losing time at the start of the race. I do need to get past you, and the situation arose at turn 1, and it just got really awkward, and it's an awkward place to go for a move anyway. So, I don't know. He's been edged off the track after contact with me. I don't know if it was my fault. I don't know whether I was alongside enough or whether he should have backed out. I guess that's the other question too. Would it have been better to just make him back out? I don't know. It's a weird one. I thought I did the best I could, but I'm not quite sure it was what was needed. But we are up in the lead at this stage. I decided to keep it because I really was just like, I'm sure I was there in the race. Now, whether I was or not, we'll leave that debate for you guys to do down in the comments. But for now, we do have the lead, and we do have the close attention of this Hyundai Genesis, who almost looks to go up the gap there, but just runs into the back of me now. So we're going to have the lead heading through 130R. Make sure we get this right, and we do. Braking zone for the Casio triangle. Let's make sure we get this right. And we do. Nail that first apex beautifully. Upshift to third, and just a slight bit of throttle while these medium tyres have their full life. As the tyres wear out, you do want to have completely off the throttle. You almost coast through that second apex But that's our first fast lap, 209.1. It's actually not too bad. I can go a bit quicker. The Hyundai looks to be going down the inside like he was before. And after before, I just let off really early. But he decided to actually not go for it. And what happened is because I broke early and he backed out, he went into the back of me and off I go. So it got a bit awkward between myself and the Hyundai there. Thought he was going for it. Yeah, just quickly, I did think he was going for it. It looked like he was, and I was like, okay, I'll just brake early here. But he just backed out last second, went in behind me, and because I broke early, he went into the back of me. Just so awkward that one. So I've now dropped into P3. I've got a fellow R4M member up in second, R4M Jack. Don't see another R4M member too often. We get a bit out of shape on the exit of the chicane, so the tyres just dropping off to the point where we probably just need to coast through that second part now. And Koshi and Time Racer, instead of going past, he goes for the bump draft to just like save me, because now the roles are reversed. I know that I have the pace to stay ahead of the Mercedes, but now I'm just making mistakes. We get through turn 1 and 2 without incident, nothing to report of. So now I just really have to focus down and not make any more mistakes. That's all that was running through my head right now, is just don't make any more mistakes, you blithering idiot. So we skip ahead to lap 6, coming into turn 1 now. Jack makes a bit of an error on the exit of turn 1, or halfway through the first sequence of a couple of corners there, and we now have the slipstream off the back of the Citroen. And what we're actually going to do, because there's no chance of actually getting past through these S's here, we're just going to fast forward all the way up to Degna 1. We get an okay run through Degna 1, and then Degna 2. Look how much time we gain here, getting that apex beautifully with a late down shift to second. And we now have the firm slipstream off the back of that Citroen GT, heading up through turn 10 into the hairpin. Very difficult to get a move done, as demonstrated at the very start of the race, where we tried to get past the SLS on the opening lap. Wasn't quite going to come off on that particular occasion, and once again we see another demonstration of exactly that. Not quite able to get it done at the hairpin. However, the Citroen has just got about half a second ahead of me now. So unfortunately, coming into 130R, we are now going to have the slipstream plus the dirty air, which does have an effect at this corner. I just understeer so much, get two wheels on the AstroTurf there, and it just drags me off, half off the track. And the SLS has a looking around the outside at the Casio triangle, and he is going to get that done. And I just sweep in behind him, so he was fully entitled to go for that one. I made a mistake completely on my own accord, and the SLS just made the decision, I'm having none of this. Off I go, straight past you, and he got a very good move done, to be fair. Coming into turn 1 here, I just show my nose to give him something to think about here, because my last potential opportunity is that the SLS goes off the track, as I almost do here. Oh my goodness! Just skirting two wheels a little bit too wide. Oh! Blithering idiot. That was a very, very large brown pants moment. My goodness, that just like scared me to no end, because I was just edging ever closer to the edge of the track, and I was like, is it going to happen, is it going to happen? Slam! It happened, and I just counter-steered for my life, and I managed to avoid the car completely rotating around on me. So now we find ourselves in 4th place, significantly off the top 3. So we're just going to have to focus on getting the laps right. And we set some consistent laps all the way up until lap 11, where we basically did the same mistake again, like an absolute complete idiot. Yeah, some colourful language coming out, emanating from my mouth. Sometimes it just happens, doesn't it? But anyway, not the most consistent run on the medium tyres to start the race. Of course, we haven't even touched on strategy yet, but the leaders all come in at the end of lap 12. We're going to do the same thing. In fact, actually, Koshi and Time Racer has stayed out the extra lap. But Marina and Jack both go into the pits, as well as Okayama behind me as well. So we're going to be switching over from the medium tyres to the hard tyres. The medium tyres, depending on the car, can last anywhere between 10 and 17 laps. If you're on a car that's really good on tyre wear and your tyre save, you can last 17 laps. But for my driving style in the BMW, 12 laps was about as far as I wanted to go, especially at the start of the race. If you start on the mediums, you have a little bit more tyre wear because the car's full of fuel. You may be able to do a 13-lap stint at the end on the mediums as the fuel has come out of the car. On the exit of the pits, we get overtaken by Hayate Lily driving the Alfa Romeo. 4C. So they drove past. I always see Lily and assume it's a she. I don't know what to say in this situation. We'll just refer to it as the Alfa Romeo, I guess. But yeah, they come out of the pits now, and we're 29 seconds off the leader. Koshi and Time Racer has stayed out an extra lap. I'm not sure, you probably don't know, Hayate Lily started in P20 at the very back of the grid, and the fact that they've come through to 4th, it's just got me thinking, have they done a non-traditional strategy? Leader goes in, the end of lap 13, is just doing the overcut technique, doing an extra lap on the medium tyres, and there Okayama retakes the lead, and that gap to the leader, 10.3 seconds essentially on the exit of the Casio Triangle on this particular occasion. Please do keep an eye on that. 10.4, we'll call it, 10.4 seconds, and we're just going to monitor that as we head through the race, because now I'm just thinking, Hayate Lily, did you start on the softs and then stop and go into mediums and cut through the field, or doing the harder tyre strategy, which means they would be left with one pit stop yet to do, because the mediums and the hards are the required tyres, so if you only do softs and mediums, you have to do an extra stop. So just every tour past the pit lane, I'm just watching Hayate Lily, and that's what you're seeing here, going past the pit lane every single time. And as we head onto lap 17, this is the last opportunity Hayate Lily has to pit to avoid a 1-minute penalty. And as we head through the Casio Triangle, cast your eyes up ahead, Hayate Lily has stayed out. They have... Wow, I thought for sure Hayate did the wrong strategy. Fair play for that then. Bloody hell. Fair play, mate, from the back. So yeah, I was actually pretty impressed with the effort that was done by Hayate Lily, coming all the way through from the back of the grid, carving up the grid on the correct strategy. So obviously I think they probably started on the hards and probably pitted quite early and went for a long stint on the mediums to get out of the traffic, and it's paid dividends. That's what I assume they've done. And because we've made a couple of mistakes, we probably lost 6 seconds worth of time from the couple of mistakes at turn 1 that we did, and we also had a little bit of a coming together with the Mercedes SLS as well, and they're 4.3 seconds up the road. So I'd say without the 6 second time loss there, I'd probably be up in 4th at this particular stage. So yeah, I was just really surprised at the effort that Hayate Lily managed to put up for this 4th position. I would be quite happy with that as a driver if I managed to go from P20 to P4. But as for our race, have a look at the gap to the leader, 9.6 seconds. It's about 8 tenths closer than we were on the exit of the pit lane. So in fact, on this last stint on the hard tyres, we actually had race winning pace here. So it's just a little bit frustrating, a little bit disappointing that we had a couple of mistakes in this race, because it really seems as though if I had the car under control on the start of the race on those medium tyres, I probably would have done a lot better than this if I just avoided those silly rookie errors at turn 1 and just, you know, maybe played it a little bit more patient with the SLS. I'd probably be up there fighting for the race win. Because we're coming through this last lap, the gap is opening up a little bit, but I was taking it quite easy because I knew there was no point pushing to the limit and risk a crash to try and keep 5th, because I knew if I could play it safe, I still could keep 5th. But yeah, everyone heads across the line. Hayate Lily successfully brings home 4th from P20. As for us, P5, 9.6 seconds off the lead. We were the fastest car on the track at the end of that race. Bit disappointing there. I had race-winning pace in the last stint. Yeah, damn, Hayate did very well to come through to 4th. A little bit frustrating, but we'll see what the points are. If they're good, we'll keep them. If it's 230, we'll go again. Famous last words, if the points are 230, we will be going again, and we're about to see what the points are, but still, just extremely impressed. Driver of the day to Hayate Lily, that's what I'm saying right now. 237. That's about what I said, wasn't it? I did indeed go again, and I think that's really a testament as to how far I've come, because traditionally 237 would be a score that I keep, but because I made a couple of mistakes, I didn't quite have the best pace that I had displayed in the practice sessions on the medium tyre. I definitely felt there were a couple of positions there that easily should have been mine, but because basically I was beginning to drive like an idiot, I wasn't quite able to achieve it. So 2:37, I did decide to go again. And you guessed it, that is tomorrow's video, so do keep an eye out for that one. But as for this race, it wasn't the worst race ever. Suzuka is a really difficult track, and a 40-minute race fatigue does begin to set in. It's a very real possibility that you can crash in the late stage of the race because of how long that race actually is. But in the grand scheme of it, I think we did okay. We didn't absolutely bin it. We did go off at turn 1, but we recovered with only minimal time loss, I would say, comparably to completely going off and spinning out. So could have been worse, could have been better, and I knew it could have been better, and it could have quite easily been better, which was the rationale for going again. But anyway, that's going to finish up this video today, so do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, and constructive criticism, as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.